Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. So I just wanted to do a quick synopsis, kind of mini review on this movie I saw 2 days ago, The Double with Jesse Eisenberg and Mia something Polish. So we went to a few Dollar Trees, Beth and I, because my buddy over at zombiesdon'trun.net, I think it's .net, check him out, Chuck, he's a great guy. He had done a video talking about how Dollar Tree, or maybe he did a post on Facebook, about how Dollar Tree was selling Blu-rays for $1. So we went to a few in our travels while running errands, because there happens to be one in pretty much every town, because every town has a dollar store. And we picked like maybe 8 or 9 movies up, a couple DVDs, but mainly Blu-rays, romance, thrillers, different stuff, romantic comedies. They had, you know, a couple kid movies like Rio 2 and Freebird, or Freebirds, whatever. So one of the movies they had that I put back was called The Double, and I got home that night and I started looking it up because it was the darkest looking of all the movies that they were selling for $1, and everyone kept saying it reminds them of Brazil. And if you know me, Brazil is in my top 5. It's one of my favorite films. I think it's really funny, it's intelligent, it's, you know, interesting, it's just great. So I was like, oh crap, I should have picked that up. So I went back out a couple days later, maybe a day later actually, on my way somewhere, and stopped by the Dollar Tree, and they were all gone. So just my luck, right? Perhaps I'm Irish. So that being said, I was like, all right, let me just stream it online and check it out. People are saying it's kind of more style than substance, but I do want to see it now. That being said, I'm not a fan of Jesse Eisenberg. I find him to be annoying and stereotypical. Let's put it that way. So there's a lot of actors I feel that way about, by the way, that they play into their stereotype too much, and it's not my thing. So the movie is pretty dark. There's going to be spoilers here, so if you guys haven't seen the film, maybe see it first. So it was all right overall. The movie's pretty dark. He's sort of a shy, introverted, meek is the best word I could use for him, character. So I can see some resemblance of why they say it reminds them of Brazil people. It also reminds a lot of people, and I agree with this, of Fight Club in a way. The only thing is, Brazil and Fight Club had grander, bigger stories that were more, like, interesting. This is a much smaller scope of a story. And, by the way, it was written or directed, I forget, by, and I'm going to say his name wrong, the black guy from IT Crowd, Richard Ayoade, I don't know how to pronounce his name. There's too many vowels in there for me. So, which is funny coming from an Itralian. So, anyway, I like him. I like IT Crowd and stuff, so he put some of his friends in it from IT Crowd, which I caught, and that was cool. But anyway, it's a much smaller scope of a story. It's not nearly as grand as the other 2 films, and it's shorter as well. So, or feels shorter. He's trying to kind of go through life, but everything's very humdrum, and he's trying to tell this girl that he works with, who also lives across the street from him, that, you know, he has these feelings for her, but he just can't muster up enough gusto. This new guy comes into work who looks exactly like him and has the same name in reverse. And the guy is like, you know, a go-getter, and he's talking to everyone, and he's funny, and he's flirting with girls and shit, and it's just totally, anything that's opposite of Jesse Eisenberg's character is in the other Jesse Eisenberg. So obviously Jesse Eisenberg plays both. And they become friends, and their friendship just fades out really quickly because they're opposite, and now the girl that Jesse Eisenberg really was attracted to, the arrogant version of himself is going after. So they start butting heads, they start blackmailing each other and trying to screw each other over at work, screwing each other over with the girl, like just a bunch of stuff. So it was pretty interesting, and I think if I was at the dollar store and saw it again, I would pick it up for $1. I don't know if I want to tell you guys the ending, but it definitely had a feeling of like a Fight Club type narrative where you don't, in this at least, you don't know if, is this really a second person and they're just totally opposite but look exactly alike, or is it another part of his personality that he is now fighting with because he doesn't know who to be? You know, it's interesting, and there's probably some small, like, things and subtle hints dropped throughout the film, but overall, it wasn't nearly as funny or interesting as Brazil or Fight Club, as I said. It felt like, it didn't smell, it felt like a much smaller scope of a film, as I said a couple times, and I didn't feel like the characters were really as fleshed out or as interesting as I would have liked, but it was definitely interesting enough to keep my attention. And the other thing I liked about it is, just like Brazil, where all this weird technology's around them and it's sort of futuristic looking, but everything looks very old-fashioned with knobs and weird kind of intricacies. It has that going for it as well. Richard whatever said it's based off I'm going to pronounce this wrong too, a Dostoevsky novel or Dostoevsky short story, but he had never seen Brazil, and if he did, I think his comment was if he did, it didn't make a big impression, which I think is kind of, I don't want to use the word bullshit, but I think Brazil's a pretty grand movie, and if you watched it, it usually sticks with you. If you pay attention, you have to pay attention. If you're not in the mood to pay attention, I wouldn't watch any of the 3 films I've mentioned, but overall, it's a much smaller blip type of film compared to the other films, but I did like it to a degree. If it was at the dollar store or you go to Dollar Tree and you see it, and this sounds interesting, then I would say pick it up. I would probably give it out of a 10 if I had to give it some kind of arbitrary figure. Probably a 6, you know, or 5.5, a 6. It was definitely, you know, average to okay. It wasn't like mind-blowing, but it kept my attention. I just, as I said, Jesse Eisenberg really bothers me. I also saw him in, I think it was him, in that other movie about Facebook. What was it called? The Social Network. And that was one I wasn't really interested in seeing because of him, but it ended up being pretty interesting. So give it a shot if you happen to see it, or if you happen to see it on some kind of like Amazon Prime or Netflix, and you are into the films I've mentioned. Just don't expect to walk away with some kind of, you know, thought-provoking film or grand architecture in your head. You know, I like sometimes walking away from a movie where afterwards I go, wow, like, let me find out more about this. What was this about? And this didn't really have that. It sort of touched upon it, but wasn't there. So that's my little synopsis of the movie The Double with Jesse Eisenberg and Mia, Polish last name girl. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.